Hi, my name is Gibson. I'm from Macon, Georgia. I moved to Lexington in 2012 to get a degree in architecture. Prior to that, I went to the University of West Georgia and got a degree in business. Since then, I've been working here in Lexington with my partner Darren and Vince. We've been practicing architecture since 2016, and yeah, Lexington is a great place to be.
Hello, my name is Darren Taylor, partner in Gibson, Taylor, Thompson Architecture Design with Darren and Vince. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I moved to Lexington in 1999, to come to the University of Kentucky College of Architecture, where I got my degree in architecture. Since then, I have worked in and around Lexington, Louisville area. Went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia to get a master's in architecture and historic preservation, and came back to Lexington to live and work, where I've been since almost 10 years now, back in Lexington.
Hey everybody, I'm Vince Thompson. I'm the Thompson and Gibson, Taylor, Thompson, and I've been partnered with Barron and Darren for the last 3 to 4 years. I went to grad school with Barron in 2015, and before that I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, and I was a custom home builder for about 5 years after I graduated the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C.
Our story begins in 2015 when Vince Thompson and I met each other in graduate school. We were classmates working together on the same project. At the same time, Darren was already practicing and teaching at the University of Kentucky and practicing in the Lexington area. Vince and I worked together. We had the opportunity to start some projects while we were in graduate school, in which we worked together until 2017, in which Vince graduated and then moved to Louisville. I continued to work at the company that we started called Barron Gibson Designs until I think early 2018, when Darren and I and Vince all kind of came together to start what would be the beginning of Gibson, Taylor, Thompson. That was a process in which Vince and I were already working together and were partners, and then Darren was practicing and had his own company, but we had the opportunity to work together on a large project in 2018, a big historic renovation, restoration, and addition that I think was a pivotal moment for us, in which we decided to joint venture, and from that point out we had decided to become Gibson, Taylor, Thompson and form that company.
And I think when we did that at that time in 2018, we had one client on a project that brought us together. And I think as we worked on that project and really realized that we had a shared goal and a shared interest, and that our talents and abilities were a lot better as one entity moving forward. And so that's how we sort of crafted the brand around ourselves and our interests, and went from there on and formed Gibson, Taylor, Thompson.
The day COVID hit was a really weird day, obviously, for a lot of people, but Darren and I were field measuring a house, I think, when the height of everything kind of came down. And Kentucky was playing in the SEC tournament, and when we went to lunch, I saw the news and they had canceled the SEC tournament. Now, it was kind of hard to believe that something like that would even happen. But anyway, I think we were able to finish our field measurement that day, but I know going back to the office, it was just complete uncertainty. Not knowing what was going to happen, the fact that we were hearing that things were going to get shut down, what was going to happen to us. Obviously, we're a business that's reliant on people doing things or wanting to do things. And when it seems like people aren't going to maybe be building or doing things anymore, there's definitely a fear, and there was for me, I know, of what was going to be the future, or how are we going to be able to move forward. The adjustments that we had to make as a result of COVID were obviously people working from home, but one of those big adjustments was organizing ourselves differently. Usually, while we're all in office, it's easy to turn around and talk about what we're going to do that day, or just speak to one another, but learning how to communicate was the biggest thing while being in different places. So obviously Zoom's a tool that we've all become accustomed to, but using our OneDrive so that we could look at our Excel board, which is kind of the main document that has all of our projects going on and who's doing what on there, was something that was really developed out of a result of COVID. And it's something that we started to look at daily. We started to meet with everybody via Zoom every single morning to make sure that we had our directive for the day's work ahead. I think that was one of the biggest things, it was becoming more organized and as a team. It was really...
I think one of the elements that Barron just touched on was communication, right? And that's a big part of what we do. Communication is our biggest job, whether it's hearing a client's desires for the project and recapitulating that through a design, picking up the phone when it rings, answering an email when it's sent, or being available either for a meeting in person. Obviously, when COVID hit, we were all of a sudden, the office was separated. Our staff was working from home. We didn't have to lay anybody off, thank goodness, but our staff was working from home. And so as Barron said, we were finding new ways to communicate internally. But one of the other pieces we were doing is finding new ways to communicate externally. So getting our clients, understanding how, if and when it was safe to meet, could we meet? Because a lot of what we do is based on existing conditions. We're working on additions to homes. We're working on renovations to properties. So figuring out how to meet or how to safely be somewhere, but also how to communicate with people remotely, like Barron said. So we were understanding the technologies that we utilize and putting them into a sort of a virtual format and using Zoom, which we were doing before really COVID hit, as far as being, we have clients that are international and all over the country. So for us, it was about honing our communication tools externally and really being even that much more responsive. So, when a client calls, sometimes you might say, well, I'll call them back in a couple of hours as soon as I finish this. No, you pick up the phone right then, talk to them and engage that. You can do the other task afterwards. And I think that was a big deal. And I know several projects that we worked on during sort of the height of COVID last spring or spring before was really about being communicative with the clients a lot more than you normally would be. And so we were doing a lot of that. So there was a shift for us a little bit to have to kind of sort of adjust how we were doing those kinds of things. But I think that's carried over to our current time now that we are back on site or meeting with clients in person when necessary. But to Barron's point as well, as with Zoom as an example, it might just be better even if a client's 2 blocks away to meet on Zoom, because we don't have to travel there and they can see our design elements on the screen right in front of their faces. So there are benefits to the way that we've learned how to work moving forward.
So the way we work in a program called Revit, and we build a model in the computer the way it would be constructed in real life. And so what that means is our clients have the graphic capacity to be able to see the design that we're working on in 3D, not only from a technical aspect, but from a very graphic aspect. We use this, and we have been using this since we started our company, to show our clients what the building would look like, but it's a great program because it is integrated into our construction documents. Now, when COVID hit, this just gave us the platform to be able to share this model and this technology over Zoom. Our clients, in my opinion, sometimes are able to see and focus on the screen more when it's right in front of them over Zoom, as opposed to when we're printing out plans or hard copies and we're looking at true elevations, and the client sometimes doesn't really even know what they're looking at, as opposed to when we have things pulled up in a Zoom meeting and it's right in front of them, and we can share that and isolate that screen so that that's all they can see. So in that regard, I think communication, to what Darren was saying earlier, is that Zoom is sometimes a better communicator tool than meeting in person when you're looking at something that isn't as telling as the screen in the 3D model.
Beyond the pandemic, I think that there is a lot of opportunity for the company that we have built and are building. One of the things that we've seen locally since and during the pandemic and is now really taking off is a lot of people are deciding to move to Central Kentucky and make it their home. We've seen a lot of people from California, I'll say that specifically, but we've seen a lot of people that have decided that whatever kind of climate or residential area they lived in, that Central Kentucky was a place that they wanted to come to. And so that has sort of resulted in number one, obviously our phone ringing a lot more for projects because people are coming from other markets and they're looking at us and they're seeing the value that we put on design and the value that we put on quality work. And in the place that they had come from, that was a hallmark. And so we're seeing a lot of that here. And I think that has impacts not only on our business, obviously, we're doing those projects and we're happy to be doing those projects, but I think also for the economy locally, I think you're seeing a lot of people that are moving here, moving their businesses here, moving here and starting their business or shifting their business to Central Kentucky. I think that has a lot of impacts, and I'm sure that that's happening in other places, but we're definitely seeing that here. And obviously, Central Kentucky has a very high quality of life. There's beautiful agrarian landscapes. We have kind of a central business core of the downtown area. The university is an attractor, but also world-class farmland. And I think a lot of people are seeing that as the sort of driver for them. They're looking at that and saying, I can leave a larger city and come here and buy a farm and really craft my environment in a way that I want to craft it. So we're seeing a lot of that, and I think for us, that's where we're headed. Is we're getting people that are calling us from other areas where design is seen as a value, and they're coming to us and they're saying, I want this and I value what you do. So we also are doing a lot of work in other places in the country. We're doing work. We have a satellite office in Austin, Texas, and we're doing some work in Georgia and Tennessee and Indiana and some other places. So that's for us is growing, but taking our brand and taking the quality of what we do and doing it in other places.
Yeah, I think as Darren said, it doesn't look like things are going to slow down anytime soon, whether that's pent up demand for real estate. Despite high construction costs, people are still wanting to build, but I think that's a factor of there's a shift in where people want to live. And I think that was just one factor of COVID that people are trying to find. Lexington's a great mid-sized city with a lot to offer, but outside of the perimeter, you have some of the most beautiful horse farms in the world. So I think from a geographical point of view, Lexington's a great place, but also from a perspective of doing renovations and remodels and construction, we have the urban service boundary in Lexington, which means that we are not building new outside of that. And people are reusing. It's important to adaptively reuse our buildings. And so we get a lot of historic restoration work. We were doing work of that nature prior to COVID, but now we're doing, it seems like, twice as many. So our portfolio consists of a wide range of projects, very small residential projects to very large custom home designs, and I think we're seeing kind of a little bit of everything in between that's magnified since COVID. Also we're seeing that in other places. Our satellite in Austin, Texas is a great example of people relocating, and so we have 4 projects going on in Austin, and we're able to compare that market to what's going on in Lexington, and we're seeing a trend definitely of what's going on in the construction industry.
So beyond the pandemic, I think what was really special to me about our company is the fact that we didn't have to lay anybody off from the start, and I think it's just a testament to all 3 of our drive, the type and quality of work that we put out. We did what we needed to do to keep our guys busy, and although things were uncertain, the first few months of the pandemic, we really feel like we came out of this thing on top, and we have continued to grow. Even during the pandemic, we needed to find more. We made more seats for people to help us out. We actually continued to grow, and we believe that trajectory is going to continue. We're continuing to hire people, and continuing to take on bigger and better projects, and it's a whole team effort. I think the advice that I would give is to find something that you're passionate about. Yeah. There's a lot of different avenues in architecture. There's a lot of different project types. There's commercial, there's residential, and range in all sorts of scales. So I think finding something in a design and an architecture that you're passionate about, and just continue to develop your craft.
Yeah, I agree. I think Vince hit the nail on the head. Finding what you're passionate about and really pursuing that is for me the most important thing. And what I've always tried to do in my career is stay true to what I really care about doing, and not try to compromise that for something. But I think one of the elements that I think architecture school probably doesn't give you as much of a foundation for when you're going out into the business world is all the things that go on by being a business owner, right? How to think about finances, how to think about marketing, and how to organize your business. What's the best avenue to do that? And some of those things that are just more sort of basic elements that maybe you might get with a business education. Maybe you might get a little bit more of that. Whereas architecture is definitely very focused on design and the sort of driver and impetus of design. And I think that one of the things that I think has been most important for us is being very diligent and organized with how our company runs. Not only the sort of internal workings of things, how we treat our employees, how we take care of our people, and how we keep our team organized, motivated, and efficient. And I think all those things, again, like any business, has to play together. But I think a lot of times with a design-based field, there's simply that is the focus, is design. And I think that is obviously what we do, but there's so many other parts of that make us successful. And I think that really knowing that and going into it with an open mind to say, I need to be thinking about all these things is paramount.
Well, I just go back and think, someone once told me that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I think that's very true. I think having the optimistic mindset to leave the door open and to not be afraid to jump on something or dive headfirst into something to learn or to experience something new is really kind of the big takeaway I've had since working with Darren and Vince. I think from experience, I've moved here without knowing anybody or really anybody here. And I think that being open to establishing new relationships, being able to not be afraid to take on whatever it is that's in front of you, I think is the biggest kind of mindset that I think that you could have that could lead to a successful opportunity. So if you'd like to work with us, please visit our website. It's www.gibsontaylorthompson.com. There you can see our portfolio or work that we're proud of, and also our contact information for all three of us. So please visit that and feel free to reach out to us. So I'm Baron Gibson.
I'm Darren Taylor.
And I'm Vince Thompson.
We are Gibson, Taylor, Thompson, Architecture and Design. Come see us. We'd love to work with you.